Welcome to KYD. This is our RV newbie essential video because we just picked up this new to us Airstream.
New to us.
In San Antonio. We repositioned it here in Georgetown, Texas at Trisha's dad's house.
Yes.
And now we're just about to get ready to go back to Arizona, about 1,200 miles.
On our first road trip.
First real big trip with this rig. And
Very
we're
excited.
taking the opportunity to go around with all the things that we consider to be absolutely 100% essential before you can really go anywhere with your RV.
Right. These aren't the, I wish I had these.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need before you leave your driveway.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to be covering in this video. We're going to be talking about the sewer hose and fittings, fresh water filters and fittings, electrical and TPMS systems, tire pressure, tire safety, chocking, leveling, and then some of the tools that you might need in your bag.
I remember the first time we bought our rig, we were walking around the store and we were like, I don't even know what this stuff is.
Well, and then on top of it, we bought too many things.
Yes.
Now, we haven't done this video in about 3 years. We did an RV newbie essentials video about 3 years ago, and that video, shockingly, is at 1.4 million views. I went back and watched it. I basically agree with everything we said, but we have so much more experience now. Since then, we've been RVing through the United States, Mexico, Canada,
New Zealand, Alaska.
Yes. And so we just wanted to do a second edition.
Yes.
And really break it down and keep things simple. Okay, just a couple quick points before you even get going on your first trip. We wanted to talk about mindset.
Yes.
Because any time that we have been in a hurried mindset, problems have followed.
That's right. The adventure starts immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
It starts from the moment you get in the car. So sometimes when we're so excited to get somebody where we're like, get in the car, let's go, no stopping, no bathroom, no snacks. Instead, slowing down not only helps setting up properly, making sure you have everything you need, but it helps everybody that's on the trip have fun.
Just remembering that Trisha's right, that the memories that you can make while you're getting there can be some of the best laughs and some of the best memories, right? It doesn't start when you get there. Pig and an egg walk into a bar, the bartender says, hey, we don't serve breakfast here. Often I have to remind myself just to slow down because, in fact,
all the time.
Mark's favorite thing to do is to leave before the directions are in or before anybody's seated. We're ready! Let's go!
I'm sure no one watching can relate to that. No one.
One time in Seattle, I tried to disconnect. We had a Hensley hitch on a travel trailer. I tried to disconnect without even putting the tongue jack down.
Well, don't you need it to take some pressure off it by putting your stand down?
Yeah.
When it comes to hooking up and setting up and disconnecting, have a checklist. We've done a video on that you can search on. I'll link right there. And then just remember that I always say to myself, I've got nowhere to be and all day to get there.
That's right.
And
it
so
puts you in a good frame of mind to be ready to be in the moment because RVing is actually pretty serious. So we want to be lighthearted about it, but you are bringing a gigantic, huge piece of equipment down the road, and we want to make sure that you set it up safely and that you're ready to have a lot of fun.
Yes. The second tip is mind the dip. And we've done a video on this also, but we just want to remind the community as a whole, when you go through a dip, and you will eventually go through a dip.
That's when reality does not meet your expectations.
Yes.
Right here, this is the dip.
I will tell you that it was fun for the first hour, and now it's not fun anymore.
Now it's not fun anymore.
Something will happen. Your RV at some point will break. And likely it will break when it's new. Because that's when it's going to break. You start shaking and they start moving, and that's when things break. And unfortunately, the brand new RVer thinks that a new RV should be perfect for like a car for like 100,000 miles. And that's just not how it is. So when it breaks, or when something goes wrong, because it will. Oh my gosh. Was that hanging down because someone else hit it, or was it just under 14 feet? Just remember, oh yeah, I knew this was going to happen. Mind the dip, grab some food. But I must say, to pull in to a discount tire, and for me to go in and get a new tire, and for you to make food,
Nice.
that's nice. Wake up the next day and just know that your trip is now ruined.
Nope. You're going to put that solution-based mindset on and figure out, okay, this is where I get out the duct tape.
Yes.
And it buys me a little time to strap down that broken awning, not speaking from experience or anything.
No. I strapped down the awning with duct tape. You taped up a window.
I taped up a window that
Okay.
I broke.
I think we have a watertight seal now.
Okay.
Should we go all the way down like that?
Yeah.
You're going to go through that dip, but your kids or whomever's with you is watching to see how you react, and it can actually be an opportunity to be solution-based and show, maybe if you're traveling with younger people, that problems happen all the time. And you
Mom
just
just broke the window. You know, we were driving. Sign came out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? But luckily, we still got that Wi-Fi going strong.
and you just get through them.
And those will be the stories that you tell tomorrow. So
Absolutely.
just know that when you go through. Okay, so those are just a couple things that we wanted to make sure that we talk about before we get into all the gear, because this is kind of like a first trip video, and those really are a couple. I'm sure there's more, but those are a couple things that are very important.
Yes.
Okay, you ready to go walk around the rig?
Sure.
Would you mind holding the camera?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Let's go. Okay, let's start with the sewer hose. This is often for brand new RVers seemingly the worst part, but it's really not that bad. This Airstream has one of these stinky slinky holders right here, and these are nice to have. And if your RV does not have one of these, they're pretty easy to add. These are the sewer hoses that I really like. These are the, I think it's made by, oh yeah, Rhino, and I have bought the premium versions of these before, but they're not as good as this. So this is the less expensive one. I think it's the better version. I like the clear elbow so you know what's going on. And then in terms of gloves, this is another thing when you first get started, you consider these to be absolutely essential. They are, but there's also a way to do this that you can do it. You can take your time and you can do it very sanitary-like. I've seen people with gloves on hold up their sewer hose, get this, potable water, stick it in their hose. This is why I don't fill up fresh water at sewer stations, and swirl it around like this, right in front of their eyes, which is a great way to get pink eye. So even if you don't have gloves, there's a way to do this very clean, and you're not gonna have any problems. Just be sure to wash your hands. Let's talk about some of the accessories that you'll need. So this guy right here, 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna use this. This is like the thing that holds up the stinky slinky so it goes right in. Every once in a while, I need to do it to get over a burn and go down. But the reason I carry them, and I only carry the 10 feet because it's the cheapest one, is because some RV parks will require you to use these, and I don't wanna go spend 3 times as much to go buy it in their little gift shop, so I just carry a little 10-footer with me when I need. So those are some of the items that you'll need for your sewer hose setup. A couple other quick points about a sewer hose. And our last rig was a 44-foot toy hauler, and there were 2 black tanks, and you can buy one of these Ys to come in, and I found that to be very frustrating to use. What I would do is I would empty the rear through the hose, close it all off, and then I would connect that hose to my main black tank hose, connect it, and then I would empty the black, and then I would flush all the gray out, instead of using the Y and leaving them open. I found that to be, well, let's just say there's something called a poopsie, and I had more poopsies with managing 2 black tanks than 1. So managing 1 hose and 2 black tanks, in my experience, was a more proficient way of going about it. Okay, next on the list, freshwater hoses, filters, and fittings. You know, when we first started, I thought that like freshwater hoses needed to be white and gray tank hoses needed to be gray, and I was gonna have a hard time keeping them separated. I think I heard that once, like, make sure your gray water hose is gray. I'm like, okay. So ridiculous. So this is a 50-foot 0G hose. These 0G hoses are fantastic because they're truly no kink whatsoever. Even when it's cold, they operate like this. So what I do is I operate with a 50-foot 0G hose all the time. It's often more than you need, but it's not a problem having extra because it doesn't kink. And in situations like this where we're at somebody's house, I almost always need a 50-foot hose. So what I do is I use my 50-foot hose for the fresh water, and then I use my 25-foot for the gray water, and I've had no problems. But there's a couple fittings that you might need. One is, actually essential, that you'll need is a water pressure reducer. Now this one it gives you the ability to see what the pressure is and actually adjust it. And so I've adjusted it up to about 62 PSI, which is fine for this rig, but for your rig, you're gonna wanna check to make sure that 60 is capable, because it's not PEX all the way through your rig. Sometimes they say it's PEX, but the fittings are not. And so you might need to be down in the 40 or 50, so check with your rig. But this is not 100% essential. This is an upgrade. This is a $40 water reducer. You can get a cheaper one that looks a little bit more like these, and it's much cheaper. I think it's like $10, and it's an inline pressure reducer. It just doesn't give you the ability, it only goes up to like 40 or 50 psi, but if you're looking to save money, this is the way to go. Okay, so speaking of this is an elbow, and what I use this for is plugging into the side of the RV, because the pressure of the hose goes straight down instead of into the side of the RV and sagging like this. So it can be a little bit easier on your RV. If your fitting on your RV is plastic, like most of them are, the constant in and out at every RV site will wear down the threading. That's the other nice thing about this. You can screw it in once, and then this is metal. This is metal that you're going into. This one's permanently attached. So that's a quick little tip right there. All right, now let's talk about water filter system. The easiest, cheapest thing to do is go with the blue, I think it's like a Camco water filter, but it's 100 micron, which is essentially a strainer. You can go one step up from that, and you can go with the green ones, and they're better. I don't know how many microns they go to, but much lower. But I had issues with flow with those when we tried it. So I prefer to go to 0.5 micron, and you can get that from Clear Source. Now the reason I didn't use this with our Grand Design Momentum is because the Grand Design Momentum had a water, like a Nautilus system built in, and it already had a water filter in there that went to 0.5. So it was redundant and I didn't need it. But with this Airstream, it doesn't have a built-in water filter. So for this, I can use this water filter. I connect it right here at the source. It goes in here and then out this way. So look into something like this. This is not sponsored content, but ClearSource did send this to me, but they also are providing a 10% discount to you. So everything we're talking about is going to be linked down below. I think it's KYD10 will get you 10% off of this. But they even have a system that will go even lower than 0.5. I think it protects crazy stuff in the water. But for the most part, if you're hooking up to RV parks, 0.5 is sufficient. So I think that's everything you need to know about water. Okay, let's talk about surge protectors and electrical for this. I kind of wish we were in an RV park, but this is where we are right now. And it's a little bit convenient because this is my 50 amp cord coming from the Airstream into what's typically called like a dog bone that goes from 50 amp to 110. This is a 50 footer, same thing in the water hose. When it comes to like boondocking at someone's house, or mooch docking as they call it, typically you're gonna need 50 feet. So I carry a 50 footer and I carry a 25 footer, and between 75, 50, and 25, I seem to be all set. Having the proper ways to go from 50 to 30 to 110 or 50 to 30, all those adapters, they're not absolutely essential to get started, but you will find out that you need them. In fact, if you RV a lot, eventually your 50 amp cord is not going to cut it, and you're probably going to need an extension. Is that the end of the world? No, you just have to change sites and do whatnot. But if you really want to add some convenience, having a 50 amp or 30 amp extension would be pretty good. Okay, let's talk about surge protectors. So I've got two here that were sent by Techno RV. They're a great partner of ours because they provide so much education to the KYD community in their videos. So I've got a surge guard here that as Eric with Techno RV says, provides total protection. And then I have a more of a starter surge protector, which protects you against surges, but I'm going to explain the difference. So this right here is about $100, but a little over $100, and it analyzes what's going on at the panel before you when you plug in. So when you plug it into the panel, it's going to give you the right color coding to say that that panel is giving you a good current. And if it's giving you a good current, then you can go ahead and turn off the power, plug it into your RV, and then turn it back on. This right here essentially does that for you. So it won't send any power to your RV if it suspects anything wrong with the panel at any time. So let's say when you pull up to an RV park and you plug in and everything's good, and then that RV park starts having issues and it senses those issues, it'll cut power off to your rig. The reason that that's important is because if you get spikes in current that's going through a panel, those spikes could cause boards, like circuit boards in your RV, to bust. I've had to replace circuit boards before, like a water heater circuit board. I think it was about $150 to replace that board. But if you had a large spike that was going through an RV park and it impacted your rig, you're talking about air conditioning boards, your refrigerator boards, your water heater, your furnace. That's a lot of boards, and at $200 a pop, you're $1,000 pretty quick. Okay, tires. This is critically important to understand a few things about it. I'm not gonna go into all the things about tires, but there's just some things you need to know before your first trip. One of those things is to have some proper chocks. It's very easy to go get the cheap plastic ones. You know, you put them in your RV like this, and then you forget about them, and when you drive off, they disintegrate. So what's the point of having a chock is if you can just roll over them, right? So these aren't very much more expensive, and they're rubber, and they actually work properly like that. It is absolutely critical to chock your trailer before you disconnect. There are some really bad stories on a hill, and you just kind of lose it. Like we said in the beginning, you think you're in a hurry or you're distracted, and you forget to chock, and you're on a grade, and the trailer goes rolling away. It's also really, really important when you're leveling to chock on the side that is up high. And for that, I use the Anderson blocks. But they're those big, red, curved leveling blocks. And so you roll back up on them, and it goes up to 6 inches, and then you put the little red triangle piece to chock it. The advantage to this is not only is it super easy to level your rig, but it acts a little bit as a chock when it's up there. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people, they're up on 4 of these blocks, not chocked. So in order to chock on these blocks, that's where these guys come in. So you put them in here, you open them up, and it gives you the stability. Some people use these for a little bit extra stability in the rig because it prevents it from moving back and forth, but it's also good for chocking when you're up high. So I highly recommend these. Are they absolutely essential for your first trip? No. These are nice to have, and an added level of security. Okay, tires. So these are Goodyear Endurance tires. ST tires, meaning trailer tires, compared to an LT tire, light truck tire, have come a long way in the last 3 years. When we first started RVing, you could not get this tire on a 15-inch rim. You essentially couldn't get an E-rated tire on a 15-inch rim. And as a result, a lot of towable RV owners went to LT light truck tires. And trailer tires are just considered to be junk. Well, now the tires have come a long way. And ST tires provide a little stiffer on the sidewalls, and they're better for towing in the sense that the rubber compound in an ST tire is designed not to break down as quickly, so that if you're going to put your RV on the side of the house for 3 to 6 months, the rubber is going to last longer than a light truck tire. So those are some of the advantages to a trailer tire over an LT tire. But that's up to you. There's nothing wrong with an LT tire as long as you know everything about it. So let's first talk about just tire safety in general, especially on a brand new rig. But before your trip, it's really important when you're down here and you're removing your chocks to take a look at the tire, look for cracks, and then also, this is the key part, look way up under here and make sure you have even wear, because if your axles are bent or out of alignment in any way, they'll start wearing on the inside in the hardness spot, or even the outside, but in our case it was the inside. And I just didn't see it for a long time, and so that is a surefire way to get a blowout. And now let's talk about the proper PSI, or how to inflate your tires. So if you look on the tire, it's going to tell you to go to max cold. So max cold means the maximum amount of PSI when the tire is cold in the morning. Cold meaning in the morning, but you also haven't driven it or towed it, because when you tow it, this tire is going to heat up. Everything about proper maintenance on a tire has to do with how do you manage and reduce heat. That's everything about it. When your tire is overinflated, what happens is you run on the center of your tire right here, and you generate heat in the center of the tire. But what's even worse than that is running underinflated, and then your tire tends to sag on the sidewalls. That generates even more heat. And when the heat happens here on the edges like this, that's often what causes a blowout. Either you're overloaded on that tire, or you're underinflated and it creates heat. So the best way to inflate a tire is to create the proper flat footprint of a tire. In order to do that, you have to know how much weight is on each tire. Most people have not gone to a CAT scale, or even better, an actual tire scale, so they know how much weight is on this tire, because maybe the fridge or something heavy is on this particular tire. So if you know how much is on this tire, then you can go to the tire manufacturer's load inflation table, and you can say for this much weight, or you can see for this much weight, how much does this tire need to be inflated, and then you can properly inflate it. If you do not know how much weight is on the tire, then absolutely 100% max cold is the way to go. Here's one myth for you. A lot of people think that, let's say for this tire, I think max cold is 80 PSI. It's an E-rated tire. A lot of people see, if they install a TPMS system, which we're going to talk about next, they see this tire pressure go 81, 82, 83, 84, and they think, oh my gosh, I'm exceeding the maximum capacity of this tire. No, it's 80 PSI max cold. The tire can go way beyond 80 PSI when it's hot. So don't think, a lot of people, they underinflate their tires because they live in Arizona and it's really hot. And so they underinflate to give themselves room or buffer before they hit the max cold. That's a myth. If you don't know how much weight is on a tire, you go to the max cold and it can exceed PSI above that. So I hope that helps. Now, speaking of managing tire pressure and heat, a TPMS system is not essential, but a really strong recommendation. And we've used 3, and this is the best one we've found, also provided by Techno RV. It has a color screen. What I really like about it, it sits on our dash and it rotates through all the tires, which is really cool. Techno RV has created a video on how to program. So what you do is you put these little caps right here, and then it has a booster, just a 12-volt booster that we'll put in the front of the RV, so it relays the signal from the tire to the booster to the cab of the truck. What this does is it gives us our PSI at all times, and it means that we don't have to go out every morning and check the PSI, because I can see as soon as I run the truck, but it also detects small leaks. So as we're driving down the road, it can detect that, hey, this is slowly losing pressure, and then we're gonna pull over and fix it before it blows out. Some of these things are expensive, but let me tell you, we've had 3 blowouts. A blowout destroys the rig, can bust your electrical cables, can damage the undercarriage under here of the RV, and often is far more expensive than just replacing the tires with adequate tires. All right, so speaking of tires, if it's a D and E rated tire, my recommendation is just go and get the Goodyear Endurance. This isn't sponsored by any means. We do enjoy getting Goodyear tires from discount. They do a great job. I think it's good peace of mind in the D and E. A lot of people want to move from, they want to move to a G-rated tire, but they only have an E-rated rim. What you have to watch out for is a G-rated tire is 14 ply, 110 PSI. If you inflate a tire to 110 PSI on a rim that can only go to 80, you'll crack the rim. So you can't go up in tire rating unless you take a look at your rim or you manage the air of that tire. And I have heard from Saloon that you can actually lower, you can reduce the inflation of a G-rated tire to meet the rim and you'll be fine. And we did it, but I'm not recommending that. I think you should do your own research when it comes to all of this. There's lots of blogs. You can talk to the manufacturer. I'm just sharing information that we learned about tires, and I hope that was helpful to you. That was a lot of information. So for anytime I do a technical video, we have a link so that we can go do updates and corrections and provide more information. So for tires and tire safety, that's keepyourdaydream.com/tires. Go there and we'll make any updates and corrections, disclaimers, and all that stuff. Okay, so I think we've covered it all. Let's talk about tools. Air is really important, but it's not essential. The reason it's not essential is because a lot of people who start with travel trailers have a D-rated tire that only goes up to 65, and you can get air at a gas station up to 65 PSI, but you can't go above 65. Their pumps don't go up above 65. So if you're in that situation, having your own air through like a Viair pump is pretty nice. When we first started RVing, we had a flat about half hour out of the gate. That's when I realized that RVs do not come with a lug nut wrench, and lug nuts on a trailer are different than lug nuts on a truck. So if you don't know that and you don't have one of these, you're calling Good Sam or Coach Net or whomever you use. So first critical tool is to have a 4-way wrench. In terms of things that I carry in here, I would say in terms of tools that you might need, I would say this: whatever makes you feel comfortable to your degree of handiness. You know, I think it's important to carry like a socket wrench. I've kind of pared down my tools. I've got a socket wrench kit inside here, and you know, I've got monkey wrenches because these come in super handy on, you know, plumbing in the RV and things that come loose and stuff like that. Dry lube versus like WD-40, but like a dry lube so it doesn't attract more grease is critical. You know, a PSI in case you don't have a TPMS system. One of these is handy, like this. Definitely anything electrical, stuff like this, because with an RV you end up doing some electrical stuff. In fact, one of these is kind of handy. Now look, I'm not an electrician, so I personally don't need this, but what you'll find when you're RVing is if you're trying to troubleshoot what's going on with a 7-way pin back to your trailer and you call someone, they'll often ask if you have one of these so that you can give them certain readings. So a lot of the tools I have are not for me, They are for the people that are at an RV park that are extremely handy, maybe even auto or RV mechanics, and they don't have their tools with them. So I let them use my tools to fix my rig for free. It's a good deal. So, you know, obviously jumper cables and, you know, lights and straps and gloves and stuff like that. But, so I would say those are some of the essential tools to bring. I feel like I'm forgetting something. You know, I do have large wrenches and super large socket wrenches, like a 3/4 inch, I think, I forget the name for it, but it's one of those big socket wrenches. And I did the video a long time ago, and people gave me grief for saying that I'm suggesting that people have to bring too many tools on the road. Like, they'd never have to change a leaf spring. Okay, let me tell you, we've been on the road for 4 years. I know at least 5 people that have had to change a leaf spring on the road. I'm not suggesting that if you're not handy, or if you're older, that you're gonna crawl into your rig and change a leaf spring. What I'm suggesting is that if you're gonna take a trip to Alaska, or you're gonna be out in the middle of nowhere, and something happens to your rig where you need big tools, the likeliness of somebody coming along and helping you that knows exactly what to do is extremely high. But the likeliness of that person not having the proper tools to do it is also very high. So I like to have some of the tools. I won't go crazy, but I don't think this bin, a pump, and this, and a 4-way wrench is excessive, and I feel like it gives us enough independence where we're self-sufficient on the road. I'll add one more thing that I just remembered that we keep in the truck at all times that we think is essential to get started. Hold on. That is this first aid kit. About $150, which is more than we spent when we first got started, but we've had things in here like burn kits and tourniquets and things that if there was an accident or you rolled up on an accident or something happened to you that are pretty necessary to have in here. So I'd say in terms of tools, basic everyday tools, your pump, first aid kit, and then larger items that just makes you feel a little bit more comfortable on the road. Okay, so that's our first trip, RV, newbie, essential gear stuff. I hope it wasn't overwhelming.
Yeah, I think you did a good job. I think there is a lot to know.
I think there is a lot to know. I tried to, you know, the tire stuff is kind of complicated. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. So what we did on our Amazon page is we created like a first trip category, like an RV essentials category on there. And then in there is everything we talked about. That way it's kind of simple to say, okay, I know I'm gonna need more once I get started, but at least I know I have what I need for the first couple trips.
Well, at least we can leave the driveway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And be able to dump the sewer, correctly plug in, have water,
Yes.
and your tires aren't going to blow up on you. Well, hopefully.
Well, hopefully. And
but if they do, you'll be really good at changing them.
And it'll be a dip, and you'll know that it's going to be fine. Your trip isn't ruined, that you're going to get through it, and you're going to have a story to tell.
By the third tire that we had to change, I was timing everybody.
And
they were doing a great job, and we actually thought it was
What was it, 11 minutes? 11 minutes we changed that tire?
I can't remember, but it was good. It was good.
Okay, so we have big plans for this Airstream, and we're going to be sharing our 2020 route here momentarily. We've got another video on how we do route planning and things, and we're going to, I'll just share with you right now, our plan is to get up into the Northeast, and it's a big 2020 route. I think we'll be on the road for another 6 to 7 months. And then there's also a video coming to upgrade this truck, which I cannot wait. Trish is getting her 60-gallon fuel tank back. You know, like I said, there's a couple blogs and there's some discounts with our partners, so take advantage of that. And we'll catch you next Sunday. Same time, same place.
I have an idea. I know you're tired. I know you're tired.
What?
Hi. Trish here.
Trish here.
Okay.
What did I forget?
Nothing. You didn't forget anything. I just want to keep in mind that you're an RVer now, okay? And so for Christmas, you probably don't need new blankets or like gift cards to certain places. You need tools. So, you know, tell your family, hey, I'm an RVer and I got my eyes on this.
That's true.
And everybody could pitch in because these are expensive, but they are worth their weight. I'm telling you, when you get to really have peace of mind looking at your tires. So anyway, just remember, you're an RVer now. And so you want fun tools, and although some of them are expensive, it's worth it. And maybe, you know, family members can pitch in, or if you're retired and you're going on the road and the kids want to give you a housewarming gift, your new house, ba-bam.
Your new house. Yes. Thanks for that message, Trish. All right, let's go talk about tools. Ow, my knees. Ow. Oh my gosh. Are you joking me? Okay.
Okay.
Just hold that on the ground. You mind stepping on it? You know what? You don't need to step on it. I can flip it onto this ladder. Okay, if you can step on it.
Step
9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, the website said 9, 9. It looks 9, 9 or less.